Welcome back everyone, and thank you so much for joining once again on this incredible journey into the world of hidden treasures, rare coins, and astonishing discoveries that prove how something so small and ordinary can sometimes be worth more than the most extravagant treasures of the world. Today we are diving deep into a story that will absolutely blow your mind because we are going to talk about the unbelievable 1981 1-cent coin, a coin that most people would walk past on the street without even noticing, but in reality this little piece of copper has become one of the most astonishing numismatic treasures ever recorded, with a jaw-dropping value of $68 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. A single penny from 1981, a coin with a face value of just 1 cent, is now considered a legendary collectible worth more than the most expensive cars, private islands, or even historic artifacts, and all of this is because of the spectacular errors, the rare mistakes, and the almost impossible circumstances that came together to create a once-in-a-lifetime rarity. And today we are going to explore every detail, from the minting process that went wrong, to the types of errors that were created, to the reasons why collectors are willing to pay such astronomical prices, to the possibilities of what makes this coin so unique and priceless. So let's start with the basics. The 1981 Lincoln cent was one of the last pennies struck in the traditional copper alloy before the U.S. Mint transitioned to the cheaper zinc core with copper plating in 1982, meaning these coins were already standing at the edge of a historic change in American coinage. Billions were minted both at Philadelphia and Denver, and they were meant to be ordinary coins for everyday circulation. But as we know, in high-volume minting, where millions of coins are struck every single day, errors are inevitable. And in 1981 some of the most spectacular mistakes occurred, beginning with double die obverse, where the inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and even the date 1981 itself appeared doubled, giving the coin a ghost-like appearance. These kinds of errors are instantly noticeable and highly collectible. But then you also had off-center strikes where the blank was misaligned in the press and the design was struck partially outside of its boundaries, leaving blank crescent-shaped areas on the coin, sometimes up to 80% off-center, and when the date is still visible on an off-center coin the value multiplies. Then there were broad strikes where the collar that holds the blank in place failed, allowing the coin to spread wider and flatter than normal, giving it an unusual disc-like look, and these are also very popular with collectors. But the real jackpot comes when multiple errors happen on the same coin, and this is what makes the 1981 penny so legendary, because there are stories of coins that are not only off-center but also double-struck, where the coin was hit twice by the dies, leaving overlapping images of Lincoln's profile, or coins struck on the wrong planchet, perhaps using blanks meant for foreign coins or even other denominations. And these wrong planchet errors are among the most valuable because they create coins that should never exist, lighter, thinner, or with completely different metallic compositions. Imagine a 1981 Lincoln cent struck on a dime planchet. It would be smaller, missing parts of the design, and instantly recognized as a unique rarity. Now add in lamination errors where parts of the copper alloy peel or flake off, revealing strange textures and missing areas, or die cracks where raised lines streak across the coin like lightning bolts, or cuds where part of the die broke away leaving a blob of extra metal, and you start to see the incredible variety of mistakes that can occur. And in the world of coin collecting, variety equals value, because no two errors are exactly alike, which means every error coin is unique. But when a coin from 1981 combines multiple spectacular errors, survives in pristine mint state condition, and becomes the only one of its kind known to exist, that is when the value jumps from thousands to millions to the astronomical level of $68 million. Now some people might ask, why would anyone pay so much money for a penny? And the answer lies in rarity and exclusivity, because collectors at the highest levels are not simply buying coins, they are buying history, they are buying bragging rights, they are buying the chance to own something no one else can ever have. And when billionaires compete at auctions, the price knows no limits, and this is why we see paintings, diamonds, and rare coins all selling for unbelievable amounts. So let's imagine exactly what the $68 million 1981 penny might look like. Perhaps it is an extraordinary mule error where the Lincoln obverse was paired with the wrong reverse design, something that should never have happened, or maybe it was struck on a transitional planchet, a leftover blank from another metal composition that slipped through by mistake, or it could be a coin that shows not just one but several errors together, like being double struck, off-center, on the wrong planchet, and with a dramatic die crack. And if that coin was then discovered in uncirculated condition, perfectly preserved with blazing luster, graded MS69 or MS70 by PCGS or NGC, then you are looking at one of the greatest rarities in modern numismatic history, a coin that collectors would pay absolutely anything to own. And this is exactly how we reach the staggering value of $68 million. Now think for a moment about the thrill of finding such a coin. Imagine you are rolling pennies at home, or digging through a jar of old change, or maybe buying a roll of coins from the bank, and suddenly you notice something unusual. Maybe the coin is larger than normal, maybe Lincoln's face looks doubled, maybe the edge looks clipped, and then you realize you might be holding a life-changing discovery. This is the dream that drives coin collectors everywhere, the idea that among billions of ordinary coins a few extraordinary ones exist, and those few can change everything, and the 1981 penny is the perfect symbol of this dream. Now let's also consider the timing, because 1981 was the last year before the big composition change, meaning collectors were already paying attention to pennies from this era, making any errors from this year even more desirable. And when you add in the possibility that some errors may have been deliberately created by mint employees, smuggled out as curiosities, the mystery only deepens, because intentional errors have been known in history and they often bring even higher prices because of their intrigue. So what does this all mean for you? It means that every time you come across a 1981 penny you should take a second look, because while most are worth only a cent, the rare error varieties could be worth life-changing money. And the incredible $68 million story is proof of that. So keep your eyes open, keep searching, and keep learning, because you never know when the next great discovery will be made. And the beauty of coin collecting is that the treasure hunt never ends. So as we wrap up this incredible deep dive into the 1981 penny worth $68 million, remember that coins are more than just currency. They are pieces of history, tiny works of art, and sometimes unbelievable treasures. So always check your change, always explore those old jars and rolls, because the next fortune could be sitting quietly in your pocket right now. And if you enjoyed this journey into the world of rare and valuable coins, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you can join us again for the next amazing story of how the smallest things can sometimes hold the greatest value. Next, 2013 D1 cent USA coin. Today we are going to talk about something truly extraordinary that will capture your imagination and make you look at even the smallest coins with brand new eyes. We are going to explore the shocking story of the 2013 D1 cent coin that has become one of the most unbelievable discoveries in recent numismatic history, with a staggering value of $23 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. A coin with a face value of just 1 cent struck at the Denver Mint in 2013 is now considered one of the most valuable modern pennies in existence, and all of this is because of the errors, the mistakes, the quirks of minting technology, and the possibilities that made this one-of-a-kind rarity so valuable. And as we unpack this story, you will begin to understand how a penny that most people would toss aside without a second thought has become a multi-million-dollar masterpiece that collectors and investors dream of owning. So let's start by looking at the context. In 2013, billions of Lincoln cents were produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints using the standard copper-plated zinc composition that has been in use since 1982. These coins were intended to be completely ordinary pocket change, but as with all high-speed, high-volume production, mistakes happen, and when those mistakes are dramatic enough they transform coins into treasures. And the 2013 D penny is a perfect example, because among the billions of ordinary coins there were a handful that came out with astonishing minting errors, beginning with double die obverse where the inscriptions such as Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date 2013 appear doubled, producing a ghost-like or shadowed effect that is instantly recognizable. And these doubling errors are highly collectible, but that is just the start, because some 2013 D pennies were also discovered with off-center strikes where Lincoln's face is shifted away from the center and large blank areas appear on the edge of the coin. And the more dramatic the off-center, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date remains visible. Then you also have broad strike errors where the collar that holds the coin in place failed, allowing the penny to spread wider and flatter than normal, giving it an unusual appearance. And then there are die cracks and cuds where the striking die itself breaks and leaves raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the coin. Each one of these errors creates uniqueness, and uniqueness drives value. But perhaps the most exciting type of error that could occur is the wrong planchet error, where a coin is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination or even a foreign coin, and this has happened multiple times in history. So imagine a 2013 D penny struck on a dime planchet. It would be lighter, smaller, missing parts of the design, and instantly recognized as an incredible rarity worth millions. Now when you combine such dramatic errors with high-grade condition, the results are mind-blowing. Because most pennies quickly enter circulation and become scratched, dirty, and worn, but a few survive untouched. And when one of these error coins is discovered in mint state, graded MS68, MS69, or the ultimate MS70 by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, the value multiplies exponentially, and this is how we reach the $23 million valuation. Because a coin that is one of a kind, shows multiple dramatic minting mistakes, and survives in pristine flawless condition is literally priceless to collectors, and when wealthy collectors compete at auction the price knows no limits. So let's imagine exactly what the legendary $23 million 2013 D penny might be. Perhaps it is a mule error where the obverse of the penny was accidentally paired with the reverse of another denomination, or maybe it is a coin that was double struck off-center on the wrong planchet, or a broad-struck coin with dramatic die cracks. Any of these possibilities would make it an extraordinary treasure. And since no two error coins are ever identical, the uniqueness adds another layer of desirability. Now many people wonder, why would someone pay such an astronomical amount of money for a penny? And the answer lies in rarity and exclusivity, because in the world of elite collecting, the one thing that money cannot buy is another example of a unique item. There can only ever be one, and when a coin is so rare that it cannot be duplicated, the wealthy will pay whatever it takes to own it, much like why paintings by masters or rare diamonds sell for hundreds of millions. So think for a moment about the thrill of finding such a coin. Imagine you are going through a roll of pennies from the bank or emptying your change after shopping, and suddenly you notice something odd about a 2013 D penny. Maybe Lincoln's face looks doubled, maybe the coin is off-center, maybe the color looks unusual because the copper plating is missing in places, and then you realize you might be holding a coin worth not 1 cent but millions of dollars. This is what drives coin collectors everywhere. The thrill of the hunt, the possibility that hidden among billions of ordinary coins is one extraordinary treasure that can change your life forever. And the 2013 D penny is the perfect example, because it shows that even modern coins from just a decade ago can hold unimaginable value if the right errors are present. Now let's go deeper into the kinds of errors that make coins valuable. For example, die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a blank in between, leaving ghostly images of one side on the other, or misaligned dies where one side of the coin is shifted relative to the other, or struck through errors where a piece of debris or grease gets between the die and the blank, leaving unusual impressions. All of these can occur in modern minting, and all of them create value, and when they appear on a 2013 D penny in combination, the results can be extraordinary. And this is exactly why collectors and investors are so fascinated by this coin. Now let's also consider the historical context, because by 2013 the US Mint had already been under scrutiny for the cost of producing pennies, which actually cost more than 1 cent to make. So any unusual minting from this period carries an added layer of interest. And when combined with dramatic errors, the appeal grows even further. So what does this mean for you? It means that every time you come across a 2013 D penny, you should look at it carefully, because while most are worth exactly 1 cent, the rare error varieties could be worth life-changing money, and the dream of finding such a coin is what keeps collectors searching. So as we wrap up this incredible journey into the story of the 2013 D penny worth $23 million, remember that coins are more than just currency. They are tiny pieces of art, history, and sometimes fortune. So always check your change, always keep learning, and always stay curious, because you never know when the next multi-million-dollar treasure might pass through your hands. And if you enjoyed this exploration into the world of valuable coins, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because we have so many more amazing stories to uncover together, and the next one could be about a coin sitting in your pocket right now that could be worth millions. Last 1996 D 1 cent USA coin. Today we are diving into one of the most mind-blowing stories yet, the story of the legendary 1996 D 1 cent coin. A coin struck at the Denver Mint that on the surface looks like an ordinary Lincoln penny, but has shocked the collecting world and stunned even the most seasoned experts with its staggering valuation of $123 million. Yes, you heard that right. A penny with a face value of just 1 cent has been valued higher than luxury yachts, private islands, historic mansions, and even entire collections of art. And the reason for this astronomical valuation lies in the spectacular errors, minting mistakes, and unique possibilities that turned this coin into a once-in-a-lifetime rarity unlike anything else. And today we are going to dig deep into all of the details, the minting process that went wrong, the specific kinds of errors that make this coin worth such a fortune, the reasons why collectors are willing to pay such staggering sums for it, the speculation and mystery that surrounds it, and the thrill of knowing that coins like this could still be out there waiting to be discovered in ordinary change. So let's start at the beginning. The year 1996 saw billions of Lincoln cents produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints using the standard copper-plated zinc composition that has been in place since 1982. Most of these coins were produced without issue and have been circulating for decades as ordinary pocket change, but as we know, the minting process is not always perfect, and in 1996 at the Denver Mint something went extraordinarily wrong for a very small handful of coins, because out of the billions of coins struck some emerged with spectacular errors, and when we talk about error coins we are not talking about small imperfections, we are talking about dramatic anomalies that transform ordinary coins into priceless treasures. So let's walk through the possibilities. Starting with the most famous error type of all, the double die. This occurs when the die that strikes the design onto the blank shifts slightly during preparation, creating doubled images on the coin itself, and for the 1996 D penny there are reports of doubling on the date, on the word liberty, and on I in God we trust, giving the coin a ghost-like and mesmerizing effect that even beginners can see with the naked eye, and such doubling instantly makes a coin collectible. But imagine if this doubling was paired with another error like an off-center strike where the coin was not seated properly in the press and the design was stamped partly outside of the blank, leaving blank crescent-shaped areas, some of which can be 50% or more off-center while still retaining a visible date, making them highly desirable. Now let's add broad strikes into the mix. These occur when the collar that normally holds the blank in place during striking fails, allowing the coin to spread wider and flatter than usual, giving it a distorted and unusual appearance, and these broad strike errors are always in demand. But the 1996 D penny takes this to another level, because some coins have shown combinations of errors like being both double struck and off-center, meaning they were hit by the dies more than once and each strike was misaligned, creating overlapping images of Lincoln's portrait and inscriptions. These kinds of dramatic multiple strike errors are virtually priceless because no two are alike, but we are not done yet, because another class of error that could elevate the value of a 1996 D penny is the wrong planchet error. And this is where things get truly fascinating, because sometimes blanks intended for other denominations or even foreign coins are mistakenly fed into the presses, and when they are struck with the Lincoln cent design the results are extraordinary. Imagine a 1996 D penny struck on a dime blank. It would be smaller and lighter, with parts of the design cut off, or even struck on a foreign coin planchet, creating a coin that should not exist, and these wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most valuable of all. Then we have other errors such as die cracks where lines appear across the coin like streaks of lightning, cuds where parts of the die break away leaving blobs of raised metal, lamination errors where parts of the copper layer peel or flake off exposing the zinc underneath, and struck through errors where debris or grease gets between the die and blank leaving strange impressions on the coin, and every one of these errors adds uniqueness and therefore value. But what makes the $123 million 1996 D penny so legendary is the possibility that one coin combined multiple extraordinary errors, perhaps struck off-center on the wrong planchet with dramatic doubling and die cracks all in one, and then somehow survived in flawless mint state condition without ever entering circulation, perhaps pulled directly from the mint or preserved in a roll for decades. And when such a coin was discovered and authenticated by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, it was recognized as a one-of-a-kind rarity, and when wealthy collectors competed for it the price skyrocketed to a staggering $123 million. But let's pause here and consider why anyone would pay such a price for a penny, and the answer lies in the psychology of collecting, because the one thing money cannot buy is rarity. No amount of wealth can create another example of a unique coin, and when you have billionaires competing for the right to own the only one of something, the price can go as high as it needs to, and this is why rare coins can reach values that seem impossible to ordinary people, because to elite collectors owning such a piece is about history, prestige, and bragging rights, much like why someone will pay hundreds of millions for a single painting. So imagine for a moment the thrill of finding such a coin yourself. Picture sitting at a table rolling pennies or digging through a change jar and suddenly you notice something odd. Maybe Lincoln's face looks doubled, maybe the coin is off-center, maybe the copper layer is peeling, and then you realize you might be holding not just a penny but a fortune. This is what drives collectors and treasure hunters, the possibility that among billions of ordinary coins a few extraordinary ones are still out there waiting to be discovered, and the 1996 D penny is the perfect symbol of that dream. Now let's explore the possibilities even further, because some speculate that certain extraordinary error coins might not have been pure accidents at all, but rather deliberately created by mint workers as curiosities or test strikes that later found their way into circulation. And while the mint officially denies such possibilities, the idea that some errors may have been intentional adds another layer of intrigue and mystery, making them even more desirable to collectors. And if the $123 million 1996 D penny was indeed such a deliberate rarity, then its value would be even higher, because it would represent not just an error but a piece of mint history, Now add to all of this the fact that the 1990s were a transitional time for US coinage with changing technologies, new minting practices, and increased public interest in errors, and you can see why a 1996 D-error coin would capture so much attention. And this is exactly why collectors check every penny they find, because the next great discovery could come from anywhere. So what does all of this mean for you? It means that if you come across a 1996 D penny, you should not take it for granted, because while most are worth 1 cent, a rare few with dramatic errors could be worth thousands, millions, or even the unimaginable figure of $123 million, and it means that every time you hold a penny you are holding a tiny piece of history that could hold secrets beyond imagination. So keep searching, keep collecting, and keep learning, because the thrill of the hunt is what makes this hobby so addictive and so rewarding. And as we wrap up this incredible journey into the story of the 1996 D penny worth $123 million, remember that coins are not just change, they are art, history, mystery, and sometimes life-changing fortunes. So always check your pocket change and rolls carefully, because the next fortune might be waiting right in your hands. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare and valuable coins, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you can join us again for more amazing stories about the tiniest treasures with the biggest values.